The ballroom was drowning in light, but it felt nothing like warmth. Crystal chandeliers spilled gold across marble floors, catching on diamonds and polished shoes, turning every surface into something sharp and reflective. The music was low and expensive, the kind that existed only to remind people how important they were. She stood near the edge of it all, fingers curled around the strap of a borrowed clutch, shoulders slightly hunched as if trying to make herself smaller. She had been told she looked beautiful. The dress proved it. Black silk, tailored too perfectly for her to have paid for it herself, hugging a body that did not belong in this world. It had come from a cousin's closet, loaned with good intentions and an unspoken warning. Don't spill anything, don't ruin it, don't forget it isn't yours. The fabric whispered when she moved, drawing attention she did not want. She kept tugging at the hem, a nervous habit she could not stop, grounding herself in the familiar discomfort of knowing she did not belong. Around her, people laughed too easily. Their smiles were practiced, polished, predatory in a way that had nothing to do with hunger and everything to do with power. Conversations drifted past her like smoke, deals disguised as jokes, alliances hinted at with raised glasses and lingering eye contact, names spoken softly, followed by pauses that carried more meaning than words ever could. She recognized none of them, but she recognized the energy. This was not celebration. This was negotiation. She had only come because she was supposed to, because someone had insisted it would be good for her, good to network, good to be seen, good to step outside her small, quiet life and taste something bigger. But standing here, she felt like prey that had wandered into a room full of hunters wearing silk and smiles. Her posture gave her away. While others leaned back, relaxed, confident in their ownership of the space, she stayed alert, chin lowered, eyes constantly moving. She had learned long ago how to read rooms like this, not because she had been born into them, but because she had survived enough situations where being unnoticed was the difference between safety and harm. Her instincts whispered warnings she could not ignore. Too many eyes lingered too long. Too many conversations stopped when she passed. This place was dangerous, not loudly, not obviously, but beneath the glitter and champagne, there was something coiled and waiting. She took a slow breath, steadying herself. She was tired of pretending she was comfortable, tired of nodding along to conversations that made her skin crawl, tired of measuring every word, every smile, every step, so she did not embarrass herself or the people who had brought her here. She was not ambitious enough for this world, not ruthless enough, and she no longer wanted to try to be. Loneliness settled in her chest, heavy but familiar. It was not the kind that came from being alone, but the kind that came from being surrounded by people and realizing none of them truly saw you. She had felt it before, in crowded rooms, at loud dinners, in places where value was measured by last names and bank accounts. Tonight, it felt sharper, as if the room itself was pressing in, testing her boundaries. She glanced toward the exit. The doors stood tall and inviting, framed by guards who pretended they were merely part of the daycare. Beyond them was night air, quiet streets, the promise of anonymity. The idea of leaving early filled her with relief so strong it almost made her dizzy. She had stayed long enough. She had done her duty. There was no rule that said she had to suffer just to prove she belonged somewhere she never asked to be. Straightening her spine, she made her decision. Dignity over discomfort. Always. She adjusted the borrowed dress one last time, squared her shoulders, and began weaving through the crowd, careful and polite, offering soft smiles that revealed nothing. Each step toward the exit felt like reclaiming a piece of herself. Yet as she moved, the sensation that something was wrong only deepened. The air felt heavier. Conversations seemed to follow her, not with words but with attention. A laugh rang out too loudly behind her, abrupt and sharp. She resisted the urge to turn around. She was almost there. Just a few more steps and she would be free of the chandeliers, the whispers, the eyes that weighed and measured. She reached the edge of the room, hand lifting slightly as if to push open the door. That was when the feeling shifted. Not louder, not violent, just sudden and precise, like a blade placed gently at her spine. Someone was close, close enough that she could feel the warmth of his breath near her ear, close enough that every instinct she had flared at once. A voice followed, low and controlled, threading through the music and straight into her bones. Act like you're my guest. She froze. The words reached her like a breath against skin warm, controlled, impossible to ignore. Act like you're my guest. Her body reacted before her mind did. Muscles locked. Breath caught halfway in. Every instinct she had learned through years of staying safe screamed danger. She did not turn. She did not speak. She stood perfectly still, because whatever stood behind her was not asking. The music continued. Laughter rose and fell. Crystal glasses clinked. And yet the space around her felt suddenly sealed off like the world had narrowed to the width of a heartbeat. She felt him shift closer, not touching, but close enough that she knew exactly where he was. Tall. Solid. Unmoving. "You are leaving too early," he murmured. His voice was calm, almost gentle, but there was steel beneath it, something practiced and dangerous. "If you walk out alone right now, they will follow you." They? The word tightened her chest. She had not noticed anyone following her, but she had felt eyes all night. Lingering. Measuring. Her fingers curled around her clutch until her knuckles ached. "Who are they?" she whispered. A pause. Then quietly, "People who think hurting me will make them powerful." Her stomach dropped. This was no misunderstanding. No drunk guest. No awkward flirtation. She was standing beside a man who lived inside threats. He moved, then slow, deliberate stepping, just enough into her peripheral vision that she could see the sharp line of his jaw, the darkness of his suit, the stillness of a predator who had nothing to prove. Around them, people shifted, instinctively giving space without knowing why. "Take my arm," he said. "Do not look frightened. Do not speak unless I ask you something." Her heart pounded so hard she wondered if he could feel it. "Why me?" she breathed. "Because you are invisible to them. And because you were trying to leave without asking permission." A bitter truth. She had felt it all night. This was a room where nothing moved without approval. She hesitated only a second. Then she slid her hand through the crook of his arm. The contact shocked her. Not rough. Not claiming. Just firm enough to anchor. Immediately the air changed. Eyes shifted. Whispers died. They began walking, not toward the exit, but deeper into the room. Her pulse screamed wrong direction. But his grip tightened, slightly reassuring, warning and promise, wrapped together. "Smile," he murmured. "You belong here now." She forced her lips into something that might pass. Her body leaned subtly toward his without meaning to. As they moved, she became aware of the silence that followed them. Conversations paused. Men nodded. Women watched with sharp interest. "Who are you?" she asked under her breath. Another pause. Then, "Someone you do not refuse." A man stepped into their path, expensive suit, polished smile, empty eyes. "I did not know you brought company tonight," he said to him. His gaze flicked to her, too curious, too bold. The man beside her smiled without warmth. "Plans chain." His hand shifted, just enough that the other man noticed. The smile vanished. Apologies were murmured. The path cleared. Her legs felt weak. "What happens if I stop pretending?" she whispered. He leaned closer, his voice a warning wrapped in velvet. "Then you become leverage." They reached a quiet corner, shielded by towering windows and the illusion of privacy. Only then did he loosen his hold. "You can still leave," he said. "But not alone." She looked up at him finally. Green eyes, unreadable, controlled, burdened. This close, she could see exhaustion beneath the power. "I am sorry," he added quietly. "I did not want to pull you into this." Her fear was still there, but something else had settled beneath it. Clarity. Whatever danger lived in this room, it had already chosen her. Walking away now would not erase that. She straightened her spine, lifted her chin. "Then tell me how to survive it." For the first time, his expression changed. Not surprise. Respect. "Stay with me," he said. "Just a little longer." And she knew without being told. The night had only just begun. They stood together long enough that the lie began to feel real. The room had changed its shape around them. Not physically, but socially. People adjusted their paths. Voices softened. Laughter dimmed whenever they passed. She noticed it in small, precise ways. A man who had been blocking the bar stepped aside without protest. A woman mid-sentence stopped speaking when his eyes lifted. Security shifted their stance, subtly alert, now not decorative. This was not admiration. It was fear trained into politeness. She felt it settle into her bones. Who is he really? The question pulsed with every step they took. He guided her through the crowd with unhurried confidence, never rushing, never hesitating. His hand remained at her arm, not possessive, not gentle, either simply final. It told the room she was not available for inspection. Whispers followed them. Names floated past her ears, spoken carefully like prayers or curses. Boss. Don. Chief. None of them spoken aloud to his face. Her breath slowed as awareness sharpened. This man did not dominate with noise. He dominated with presence. You are doing well, he murmured without looking at her. Your pulse slowed. She realized he was right. Fear had not disappeared, but it had sharpened into something useful. They stopped near a cluster of men whose smiles did not reach their eyes. One of them studied her too, carefully cataloging her like a weakness. The man beside her angled his body a fraction, shielding her without touching. His voice remained calm. You should return to your table. The man laughed weakly. Just admiring the evening. Then admire it elsewhere. No raised voice. No threat. Yet the group dispersed instantly. Her stomach flipped. Power-like that was not learned overnight. As they moved away, she whispered. You could have said nothing. I could have. He replied. But then they would keep looking. She swallowed. And now they know better. They reached another quieter corner. The city glowed beyond the windows, unaware of what passed inside. She finally turned to face him fully. Up close, the danger was quieter but deeper. Lines of control etched into his face. Eyes that had measured life and death and chosen silence. You are not just important, she said. A beat passed. No, he agreed. I am inconvenient. Her heart skipped. What does that mean? It means people make plans around my absence. Around my fall. Around my mistakes. And tonight, you interrupted one of those plans. She stared at him. Me? Yes. The word landed heavy. They expected me to arrive alone. They expected vulnerability. Instead, I arrived with you. Why does that matter? Because it suggests I still have something worth protecting. Her throat tightened. She had been chosen as a shield without knowing it. I did not mean to, he said quietly. You were simply there. Real. Unprepared. Unarmed. Something shifted in his voice then. Regret, maybe. You should not be here. But I am. He studied her like a man reassessing the past. You are brave. Or foolish. She lifted her chin. I have survived worse rooms than this. That earned a slow exhale from him. Not amusement. Respect. The music swelled again. But the tension did not ease. She felt eyes returning, more cautious now. Waiting. What happens next, she asked. His gaze darkened. Next, they decide whether I am still untouchable. Her pulse spiked. And me. He did not answer immediately. Then finally. You stay close. You listen. And if I tell you to leave, you leave without question. She nodded. The weight of his world pressed closer. Not through force, but through truth. Somewhere behind them, a glass shattered. Laughter followed, too loud, too rehearsed. The party continued. But beneath the gold and music, something dangerous had been set in motion. The lie followed them like a shadow. Wherever they moved, the room adjusted. Not openly, not dramatically, but with the quiet obedience of people who understood consequence. She felt it in the pauses, in the way conversations stalled when he slowed, in the way men stopped laughing too loudly when his gaze drifted near. The longer she stayed at his side, the more dangerous the pretending became. Because pretending implied belonging. A woman brushed past them too, close her perfume sharp, her smile thin. Her eyes lingered on the man beside her, then slid to her face, slow, assessing. "You did not mention a guest," tonight the woman said lightly. Her tone carried sugar and threat in equal measure. He did not look at the woman. He tightened his arm just enough that the message traveled through bone. "Plans change," he said. The woman smiled again, but it did not reach her eyes. "Of course they do. Especially when weakness is involved." The word hit like a blade. Before she could react, his body shifted fully between them. A subtle move. Protective. Final. "Careful," he said softly. "You are speaking about someone under my protection." Silence dropped hard. The woman stepped back instantly. Apologies murmured. Excuses offered. She disappeared into the crowd as if erased. Her breath shook. "That was not flirting," she whispered. "No," he replied. "That was a test." Her chest tightened. "How many more?" "As many as they need." They moved again. Not hurried. Never hurried. A group of men watched them from near the bar. One raised his glass in mock salute. Another whispered something that made the third smile. She felt it then. The shift. This was no longer a cover. She was no longer invisible. She was a signal. "If I leave now," she asked quietly, "what happens?" His jaw tightened. "They follow. And if I stay, they wait." She swallowed. "Wait for what?" "For me to make a mistake." The music swelled louder. The light seemed harsher. The walls closer. Her instinct screamed that this room was closing in. She had come here to disappear quietly. Now she was standing at the center of something sharp and coiled. A man stepped into their path, bold, confident, too young to know fear. He looked at her openly. Too openly. "So this is her," he said. "Not what I expected." Before she could speak, the man beside her leaned, down close enough that only she could hear. "Do not answer him." Then he straightened and spoke clearly. "You will step aside." The young man laughed. Or tried to. Or what? There it was. The challenge. The room held its breath. Nothing happened. No raised voice. No movement. Just his eyes locking onto the man. The smile vanished. Color drained. The man stepped back immediately. She felt it then. True fear. They reached the edge of the room, near a private corridor, shielded from view. His hand remained firm at her arm. "You should not have to see this," he said quietly. "But you brought me into it," she replied. A beat passed. "Yes." The honesty startled her more than denial would have. "Why me?" she asked again. He looked at her, then truly looked. "Not like a shield. Not like leverage. Because you did not want anything from me." Her throat tightened. "And because they cannot predict you." A sound echoed behind them, sharp and sudden. A glass breaking. Laughter rushed in to cover it. But his body went still. "We need to move," he said. Her pulse spiked. "Nah." She nodded without question. As they stepped into the private corridor, she realized something terrifying and undeniable. Leaving the party had been the safe choice. Staying with him was the point of no return. The corridor swallowed the noise behind them. The music faded into a dull echo. The laughter became distant, unreal. Only their footsteps remained, steady, controlled, measured. She had never noticed the hallways before. They were not meant to be noticed. Narrow, clean, guarded by men who did not speak and did not smile. Security did not question him. They only moved. Doors opened before he reached them. Paths cleared without instruction. She realized then this was not escape. This was command. Her heart raced, but her steps did not falter. Some instinct inside her matched his pace. Survival learning in real time. You said I could leave, she whispered. He did not slow. I said not alone. They turned a corner. Another door. Another guarded threshold. Behind them, something shifted. Voices rose. Not panic. Not chaos. But awareness. Someone had noticed their absence. His grip tightened just slightly. A warning. A promise. We are almost out, he said. Stay close. She did not ask where out was. She trusted the direction of his movement more than any answer. The exit was not grand. No sweeping doors. No dramatic reveal. Just a narrow passage leading to night air and quiet engines waiting. The moment they stepped outside, the tension cracked. Her breath came fast. Her hands shook now that there was space to feel. A car door opened smoothly. Dark interior. Leather and shadow. He waited until she was seated before stepping back. Only then did he release her arm. The absence felt strange. Like gravity had shifted. I am sorry, he said. She looked up at him. The city lights cut sharp angles across his face. For the first time, he looked tired. You keep saying that. Because I do not make mistakes often. And tonight you became part of one. That sent a chill through her. What mistake? He closed the door gently. Then walked around the car. Sliding in beside her. The vehicle moved immediately. Silent. Efficient. He did not look at her at first. That party was not just a celebration. It was a calculation. Her chest tightened. Of what? Of how alone I am. She turned toward him. They wanted to see who would stand beside me. Who would claim space. Who would be worth taking from me. Her breath caught. And now they know someone would. The city blurred past the windows. Lights streaking like warnings. I did not agree to be part of that, she said quietly. No, he replied. You did not. That is why it worked. She closed her eyes for a moment. The weight of it all pressing in. Where are you taking me? Somewhere safe. That word felt fragile. Define safe. He finally looked at her. Safe means alive. Safe means watched. Safe means you do not pretend tonight never happened. Her pulse thundered. And after tonight things will chain. The car slowed. Turned. Pulled into a quiet street far from the lights. He did not reach for her. Did not touch. I will have someone watch your building, he said. You will not see them. You will not speak to them. She stared at him. You are placing guards on my life. I am preventing you from becoming leverage. A bitter smile touched her lips. I wanted to leave a party early. And instead, you walked into a war you did not know was happening. Silence stretched. She met his gaze. Then tell me one thing. He waited. If I had not stopped. If I had walked out alone. He did not hesitate. You would not be safe right now. The truth landed hard. The car stopped. This is where I leave you, he said. She opened the door. Paused. And you. I do not get to leave early. She stepped out into the quiet. The door closed softly behind her. As the car pulled away, she realized something terrifying and undeniable. She had not been rescued. She had been marked. And the night was not finished with her yet. Morning arrived without permission. She woke before the alarm, heart racing, breath shallow, the memory of the night still wrapped around her like smoke. For a moment, she thought it had been a dream. The whisper, the arm at her side, the way the room had bent around one man. Then she noticed the silence. Her apartment was always noisy. Pipes clicking, A neighbor coughing. Cars passing below. Today it was different. Too still. Too watched. She moved slowly toward the window. Parted the curtain, just enough to see the street. Nothing obvious. No black cars. No men in suits. But she felt it. The same way she had felt the party before she understood it. Presence without visibility. He had kept his word. Her phone vibrated on the counter. A single message. You are awake. Her chest tightened. How do you know she typed? 3 dots appeared. Paused. Then vanished. Because nothing happened last night. She stared at the screen. Is that supposed to comfort me? Another pause. It is supposed to tell you I am paying attention. She sat down hard on the edge of the bed. What do you want from me? This time, the reply came quickly. Nothing. And that is the problem. She laughed once softly without humor. You pulled me into something dangerous, and now you say you want nothing. I pulled you out of something worse. The words sat heavy. Why did you come back, she typed. A longer pause this time. Because they will try again. Her fingers went cold. Try what? To understand you. She stood pacing now. Bare feet on cold floor. Thoughts colliding. I am not important, she typed. You are not. Now you're noticed. She stopped moving. Because of you. Because you did not run. Because you did not ask for anything. Because they cannot decide if you are a weakness or a weapon. Her throat tightened. What does that make me to you? Another pause. Longer. Heavier. A responsibility. The word unsettled her, more than possession would have. I did not agree to this, she typed. I know. Then why does it feel like my life is no longer mine? Because it was never separate from danger. You simply had not met it yet. Anger flared sharp and sudden. Do not talk to me like I am naive. The response came slower now. You are not naive. You are unguarded. And the world I live in eats people like that. Silence followed. Then one final message. Meet me tonight. Public place. No pressure. Why would I do that? Because if you do not, someone else will come instead. Her hand shook. And they will not ask you to pretend. She lowered the phone. The truth settled in her bones. Last night had not ended anything. It had opened a door. And whether she walked through it or not, someone was already reaching for the handle. The cafe was loud enough to feel safe. Steam hissed from machines. Cups clinked. Voices overlapped in careless comfort. She chose a table near the window, where people passed constantly. Movement meant witnesses. Witnesses meant distance from fear. Still, she kept her back straight. Hands wrapped around untouched coffee. Eyes lifting every time the door opened. When he arrived, the room changed again. Not dramatically. Not obviously. But conversations softened. A few heads turned, then looked away. He did not wear a suit tonight. Dark jacket, simple shirt, no visible sign of power. Yet it followed him anyway. You came, he said, quietly sliding into the chair across from her. I wanted to understand what I am standing inside. A faint nod. Fair. For a moment, they just watched each other. No music to cover silence. No walls of glass or men with guns. This felt more dangerous. You said they will try again, she said. Yes. Who are they? People who cannot touch me directly. Her stomach tightened. So they look for what they can touch. He did not deny it. That is why I did not want to see you again. She exhaled slowly. Then why are you here? Because you did not disappear. Because you did not beg. Because you did not run to the police or the press, or the nearest powerful man who could sell my name. She frowned. Is that what people usually do? Yes. And what happens to them? They regret it. Silence pressed in. There is something you are not telling me, she said. His gaze sharpened. Measured. They knew you would be there. The words landed heavy. I was invited last minute. That was intentional. Her heart thudded. By who? Someone close to me. Someone who wanted to see how I would react when offered a soft place to hide. Her voice dropped. And I was the soft place. You were the variable. She felt anger rise hot and sharp. So I was bait. Not knowingly. Not willingly. But yes. She pushed back from the table. Chair scraping. You should have told me. I should have removed you from the room entirely. Then why did you not? Because when they saw you with me, something changed. She froze. What changed? They hesitated. They miscalculated. They thought I had already chosen. Chosen what? Him. He did not answer immediately. Chosen a life that was not this. Her breath caught. That is impossible. He leaned forward, voice low. That is why it frightened them. The door opened again. A small girl stepped inside, holding the hand of an older woman. The child laughed. Free, unguarded. His eyes shifted instantly. Softened. Who is that, she asked quietly. My daughter. The word stunned her. She watched as he stood. Moved across the cafe. Knelt to the child's level. She saw something crack open in him. A smile that held no threat. The girl ran into his arms. Daddy, you said this place had the good pastries. He laughed softly. I was hoping you would say that. The woman guiding her noticed her then. Studied her. This is her, the child said proudly. The lady you told me about. Her pulse spiked. What did you tell her? That you are brave. The child smiled at her, unguarded. I like brave people. Something shifted inside her chest. Something deep and dangerous. In that moment, she understood. This was not just about power. Or enemies. This was about what he stood to lose. And suddenly, so did she. The warning did not arrive with noise. It came as absence. The next morning, her street felt wrong. Not watched like before. Not guarded. Just empty. The quiet pressed in, too clean, too intentional. She stood at her window, longer than usual. Waiting for the feeling of presence. The reassurance of unseen eyes. Nothing. Her phone buzzed. Do not leave your apartment. The message came without greeting. Her chest tightened. What happened, she typed. Seconds passed. Then more. Finally. Someone moved too early. She paced the length of her living room. Barefoot, heart racing. Moved how? They reached out to someone close to you. The words chilled her. Who? Another pause. Heavier this time. The person who invited you to the party. Her breath caught. That is not possible. You trusted them. Yes. That is why they were chosen. Anger flared sharp and immediate. You knew this could happen. I knew it was a possibility. Then why did you let it happen? Silence. She could almost see his expression through the screen. Controlled. Guilty. Because they would have found another way. The truth hurt more than any lie. Her phone buzzed again. They asked questions about you. About your routine. Your work. Who you speak to. Her hands shook. Did you answer? No. But they did not need answers. They needed confirmation. Of what? That you matter. She sank onto the couch. This is my life, you pulled into your war. His reply came instantly. And now I will end it. A knock sounded at her door. Soft. Polite. Her blood ran cold. Do not open it, he texted. She stood frozen, staring at the door. Another knock. Then a voice. Familiar. Too familiar. It is me. Her chest tightened. The person who had smiled at her. who had insisted she come, who had said it would be harmless. Her phone buzzed again. They are not alone. The handle turned slightly. Testing. Her breath came shallow. What do I do? Stay where you are. Do not speak. The knock stopped. Silence stretched heavy. Then footsteps. Retreating. She slid down against the wall, tears burning her eyes. A minute passed. Then another. Her phone buzzed. I am outside. Moments later, another knock. Different. Confident. Final. She opened the door. He stood there without guards, without weapons. Just him. The mask was gone. I am sorry, he said quietly. Her voice shook. They came here. Yes. Because they wanted to see if you would break. She laughed once, sharp and brittle. Did I? No. But now there is no doubt. He stepped closer, not touching. You are no longer a question. You are a threat. Her chest tightened. To them. And to me. She looked up at him. What does that mean? It means there is no version of this where you go back to being untouched. Fear coiled in her stomach. And you. He met her gaze, steady, unflinching. I will not let them take you. But I will not lie to you either. This ends one way. With you choosing whether you stay in the light or step fully into my shadow. She realized then. The party. The whisper. The pretending. None of it had been the beginning. This was. And the choice would cost everything. The city looked different from his car at night. Not beautiful. Not alive. Just exposed. Streetlights cut the darkness into pieces. Every shadow felt intentional. Every turn measured. She sat beside him, hands folded tightly in her lap. Not touching. Not leaning. Listening. I can make this stop, he said. The words were calm but heavy. She did not look at him. You said that before. This time it means disappearing. Her head snapped toward him. Disappearing who? You. The car slowed. Pulled into a quiet overlook above the city. He turned off the engine. I have places. Names. Lives that do not exist yet. Her pulse spiked. You are offering to erase me. I am offering to protect you. She laughed softly. A sound edged with disbelief. By taking everything I am. He did not flinch. By keeping you alive. Silence pressed between them. She thought of her apartment. Her job. Her routines. The fragile normal she had built piece by piece. You do this often, she asked. No. Then why now? Because you will not survive my world unprepared. She turned fully toward him. And I will not survive being the reason someone loses themselves. That landed harder than shouting would have. He exhaled slowly. They are closing in. Not with guns. With patience. Her throat tightened. What do they want? To see me choose. To see if I sacrifice you. A chill ran through her. And if you do, they will know I am still predictable. She stared at him. At the lines carved by control. By years of decisions made in darkness. You told me I was a responsibility. You are. Then do not decide for me. He looked at her sharply. You do not understand the cost. I understand losing myself. That is the only cost I know. Silence stretched. I will not be hidden, she said. I will not be owned. And I will not be used as proof of your weakness. He closed his eyes briefly. Then what do you want? Truth. A long pause. Partnership. His eyes opened. Say that again. I will not disappear. But I will not pretend either. If I stay, it is because I choose to stand, not hide. That is dangerous. So is living afraid. He studied her. Not as leverage. Not as risk. As equal. If you stay, he said, they will test you again. Then let them. And when they come, I will dismantle the trap. Her breath caught. Not quietly. Not from the shadows. Openly. The car door opened suddenly. A figure approached. Too close. Too confident. Her pulse spiked. He did not move. The man stopped a few steps away. Bold night, he said. Choosing views over safety. This ends tonight, he replied. Does it? The man smiled. We wanted to see which path you would take. He looked at her, then back at the man. You have your answer. The smile faltered. She felt it then. The shift. This was no escape plan. This was confrontation. And he had chosen. Not power, but her. The night did not explode. It unraveled. The man standing near the car smiled again, but it was thinner now, forced. He glanced past them, searching for something that did not arrive. Backup. Permission. An opening. None came. You brought her out here, he said carefully. Bold move. No, the man beside her replied. I brought you. The words settled heavy. Final. She felt it, then the shift she had been sensing since the party. Not danger rising, but control returning to its rightful owner. Lights appeared at the edge of the overlook. Cars not rushing, not loud. Simply present. The man took a step back. You would burn everything for her. He did not hesitate. I already did. The truth landed like a verdict. From the shadows, figures emerged, not armed, not aggressive. Just waiting. The man laughed weakly. You think stepping away makes you clean. I think it makes me finished with you. The smile vanished. The figures closed in not on him, but around him. Cutting off space. Options. She watched, heart racing, as the man was escorted away without struggle. Without violence. Just removal. When the night was quiet again, she exhaled a breath she did not know she was holding. You planned this, she whispered. He nodded. The whisper at the party. You leaving. You staying. All of it showed me who was loyal and who was not. Her chest tightened. I was never bait. No. You were proof that I could choose something real. He turned to her fully now. No guards. No audience. I am stepping down, he said. Her breath caught. From everything. From the empire. From the shadows. From the world that needs blood to function. Her voice shook. Because of me. Because of me, he corrected. You just reminded me what it costs to stay. Silence stretched. What happens now, she asked. Now I become boring. Invisible. Alive. And me. He met her gaze. You walk away if you want. Tonight ends the danger. She studied him. The man who had whispered instead of shouted. Who had protected without touching. Who had chosen truth over dominance. I did not stay to be rescued, she said. I know. I stayed because I wanted to stand. A slow breath left him. Then stand with me. The city below continued unaware. Lights blinking. Lives moving. She reached for his hand. This time first. This time by choice. No pretending, she said. Never again. Weeks later, the story spread quietly. A powerful man had vanished. Deals dissolved. Threats faded. No headlines. No bodies. Just absence. She returned to her life, but it felt different now. Stronger. Clearer. One evening, as they stood on a quiet balcony watching the city breathe, she realized something. The whisper had not saved her. It had revealed her. And in doing so, it had ended a war before it began. Sometimes the most powerful choice was not to fight, but to refuse to be afraid. And everything changed from there.